When I started high school, I noticed so many things starting to change around me, mostly with my closer friends. Seriously, in the school holidays between us finishing primary school and starting high school, it was like they almost became different people. Everybody was acting like they were in a rush to grow up, while I was more than happy to stay how I was and just keep on playing with skipping ropes and Pokemon games. Of course, a new big interest for my friends was boys. It seemed like all the girls I knew suddenly wanted a boyfriend. Even back then, I felt like I didn't want to rush into things like that, even though at this time I was getting super into anime and was especially obsessed with romance in animes. I guess I felt like my 2D husbandos were all I needed. In all honesty though, all of the boys in my class were kind of rude. Like they just seemed to treat each other and other people badly. I preferred to avoid them. Not long into the school year, a new boy joined the class. This boy was kind of strange. He seemed like he was constantly out of it, but then he was also super loud, no matter what he was doing. The teacher told us that he'd been expelled from a different school, which for us back then was like the ultimate crazy news. And then all these rumors started about him, like how he'd escaped prison or he was actually an alien in hiding. And just my luck, this scary, possibly alien person's seat was put right next to mine. I was pretty nervous being next to this guy, but I just tried to ignore him. But he made it hard. He was constantly trying to get my attention by doing things like writing big messages on notebooks and swinging them in my face. He would also suddenly take things from my desk and just mess with them. And I didn't know how to ask him to stop. But then this guy went from frustrating to actually kind of creepy. One day in class, I just happened to look his direction and I saw that he had his phone out and that it was pointed right at me. It turned out that he was actually taking pictures of me. This actually spoke to me. It was the weirdest thing. Just who does that? Just who secretly takes pictures of people like that? And the worst part was that I don't know if that was the first time he did that or just how many pictures he might have had of me. Since back then I was even more shy than I am now, I was too afraid to say anything to the teacher. I did tell my friends, but they told me to just ignore him, that he'll probably get bored and stop messing with me soon. But he wasn't done. One day I was walking to my class at the start of the day and I just reached the classroom when this guy suddenly jumped out in front of me. He'd just been hiding behind the door and he grabbed my shoulders and pushed me into the wall. I was shocked. I didn't understand what was happening. This guy was still holding my shoulders and staring at me with this blank face. It was scary. There were other people in the classroom too. This one girl that I'd never spoken to just started laughing, and this made the guy start laughing too, and he finally backed off of me. I didn't get what was so funny. I was just extremely weirded out. Doing stuff like that is just not okay, especially since I was already such a nervous person who gets spooked by everything. Looking back, I think that he was just doing it because he found my reactions funny. I did not know what I was gonna do about it. Luckily for me, this was the climax of his weird behavior because not long after this, he actually suddenly left the school. We were told that he just went to a different school but never found out what happened. This was my first uncomfortable experience with a guy, and after having this happen and seeing how the other guys in my class were just mean, it kinda left me with a bit of a bad impression of guys in general, so I didn't really want to make friends with guys anymore after this. Although a lot of things continued to change in high school, like I lost old friends and got new friends, but through everything I still continued being that dorky art kid who just wanted to draw and watch anime all the time. During my last year in that school was when we went on a big graduation trip, which for us was a cruise, and there I had more very uncomfortable experiences with guys. I already made a whole video about this one, but basically there was this one guy who wouldn't leave me alone at the cruise disco. He kept trying to dance with me and was just being way too close for comfort. Blech. Go away, bad memory. But the reason why I brought that story up again was because that's where I think me just avoiding guys started turning more into me being afraid of them. My friends and I were 16 at this point, and two of my friends got into their first relationships not long after that trip. When the summer holidays started, I didn't see either of them at all until the end of the break when we met up again to go shopping together. We were having a lot of fun trying on different clothes, and then we went to get ice cream. When we were eating, my friends started talking about their boyfriends and how things were going, and then my friend suddenly said how awkward it was that she had to make sure to wear clothes that kept her chest completely covered around her mom so that she wouldn't notice the bruises there. Wait, what do you mean? How did you get bruises there? My friends just looked at each other and laughed. Isn't it obvious? You're so innocent. I could not make any sense of this. But the fact that my other friend was backing her up too made me wonder if I was just naive. It didn't seem normal, but these were the only friends I had who had gotten boyfriends, so I didn't have anything else to compare it to. I believed everything they told me. So if they told me that this was normal, I believed it. But it also kind of terrified me. Hearing that and seeing that they just didn't seem as happy anymore made me not only afraid of getting into a relationship myself, but also really afraid of guys in general. Even after both of my friends got out of those relationships, I was still left with those bad feelings. It developed into me not even wanting to talk to any guys. I would have guys every now and then at school who would come up to me, or they would get their friends to do that thing where they come up to you and are like, hey, you know my friend over there? He thinks you're pretty. And I would just be like, nope, and have any excuse to get away from them as fast as possible. This continued all through my last school years, even at a different school I went to. I just didn't trust any guys. And now you're probably wondering what changed. Well, sometime later, after I finished school, I started getting into watching gaming channels on YouTube, mostly ones revolved around Pokemon. There weren't many girls in the community at that time, it was mostly guys, but I just wanted to watch people playing Pokemon games and talking about new games coming out. This community back then was honestly just such a friendly place. Everyone was so nice to each other. I was nervous at first, but I did end up reaching out to them on social media to say I liked their videos, and I ended up making friends with them. I felt really welcome, and they even inspired me to try out making Let's Play videos on YouTube too. And no, these videos don't exist anymore. They were online friends, which definitely made it easier for me to talk, but they were the first guy friends I'd made in years. And although we all ended up growing apart and don't talk anymore, these guys helped me get over this little fear and understand that no, not all guys are bad.